Now we have a former General Secretary of the MPP who's a key member of the Bawumia campaign, and he's back in town, and when he comes to town, he has to go and report what he's been doing. So Kwabena Agyepong is joining us. Kwabena, good to have you.
It's a pleasure.
How are you?
It's a pleasure. I'm very good.
I was telling Fifi Kwete that 3 days for an election, he didn't look tired. You also look pretty okay. You guys, how do you do it?
I think the important thing is you have to enjoy what you do. You work hard for your party. You feel that parties are vehicles to serve your country. It is not a life and death matter. I think the NDC and the MPP have had time in opposition and time in government. So that's why I want everybody to be relaxed.
You know each other too well.
The people should take it easy. I remember when I delivered my solidarity message in 2015 as General Secretary. I said, these are the two parties that are likely to run the country for the foreseeable future. So how we treat ourselves, how we conduct affairs, you know, it would enlighten or create more confusion in the electorate. So I think it's important that we send positive messages around. It's time for everybody to go and express their opinion as to who they favor to be president, who they can invest political authority or their future in.
You guys tell us every election is different. And I don't want to start from 92, but it seems to me as if at least from 2012 to 2016, these are 3 distinctly different elections. For you as the MPP, again, correct me if I'm wrong, this looks like the most difficult, and I'll explain. 2012, you were in opposition. Okay, you had lost another election in 2008. You were in opposition against a party that was in its sort of first four years, so it was going to be difficult. 2016, 8-year opposition, you swept to victory massively. And then, of course, 2020, you held your own. So, but how different is this 2024 one?
2 things. I think our candidate is a unique candidate. First time in the history of this country, and especially for us, our political tradition, to elect a northern Muslim as our leader. You know, and this is the propaganda tool that our friends of the NDC, they have used since 1992. You know, try to stereotype us and pigeonhole the MPP as an Asante party, not even an Akan party sometimes, and made us very difficult to campaign in certain parts of our country. So as you can see from your map, we're locked up in the middle belt in this country. And this shows that our party is not an Akan party, that it doesn't matter whether you are Ewe or you are Nzima or Mamprusi or Dagumba, it does not matter. If the electorate feel that you have the oomph to be able to lead them, that they can trust you with their future, they will do so. And I think it's based on the record of Dr. Bawumia. He has exhibited such finesse, you know, interpersonal skills. He's been a nice person. He's very humble, very respectful. Even the way he conducted himself immediately after the election, visiting everybody, every one of us, cobbling together.
The primaries.
Yes, the coalition. So there's reasonable harmony in the party. And you talked about we swept 2016 because we had a harmonious internal primary. And I think by and large, this year's primary have been reasonably harmonious. Only a few hot spots here and there. And so anytime we have such primaries, we are likely to win the parliamentary election. And then the presidency comes as a bonus. So the fact that he's going to be able to eat into the core support of the NDC, you know,
it's a strong advantage for him.
A strong advantage for him. So we are now fighting the NDC on their turf. Places where Bono East, which were no-go areas. I mean, I think we will claim some seats there. I do believe we'll do better in the north. We will beat them in the north.
So your non-traditional, the places you've not been doing well, you believe you will get into their advantage there.
We'll do better.
But will you hold your strongholds?
That's for certain. That's for certain. We will hold our stronghold on the record that we have displayed over the last 8 years. So we are very confident. Elections in this country are always going to be a close call because these are 2 big parties. It's historic. The UP tradition, now the NPP, is the CPP that has been taken over by the NDC, unfortunately, you know, and so that's what it is. So I've always said, from my political experience, the NDC is always guaranteed 44–45% core support. The MPP, 47–48 core support.
You give yourself like a 3 percentage point advantage.
And you can see all the...
Actually, the graph will show that.
I don't like polls, but whichever way you look at it, you would see that. And we always need 3-4% to travel.
Yeah, there's a residual advantage.
Yeah.
So when they win, it's narrower.
That's
when
right.
you win, it's bigger.
It's bigger.
Yeah.
And so it is the apathy sometimes in the internal party process that really works against us. I mean, in 2008, we had been empowered. Mr. Kufuor had delivered quite reasonably, but people had become swollen-headed, complacent, fighting over parliamentary positions. Several parliamentary candidates, you know, and it cost us the election because Nanado was leading Professor Mills by 103,000 votes in the first round, mind you. But because the parliamentary election had been lopsided, about 7-8 parliamentary candidates who were favorable to us, but we couldn't count them as our candidates. And so the propaganda that, look, they won the parliamentary election at the presidency, I think it caught a bit of fire, and we lost marginally. I mean, our friends in Nigeria,
it was very close,
who called me and said, Kwabena, so we can't add 23,000? How can
Ghana is not like that.
I said, in Ghana, we don't do things like that. And that's why we want to assure everyone that we are not the party that steals elections or, you know, will strong-arm people. We want to have a decent election. Our tradition is the tradition that can be credited for the electoral reform in this country, starting from 93 up to date. And I think progressively, elections have become better. And now with the media,
more transparent.
I have been impressed, Bernard, with the sophistication of the media, the brutal competition.
We're also growing.
You are competing more than the political
I tell you,
parties.
there's a final point before we go to the map. Globally, there seems to be an anti-incumbency sentiment. Let me explain. After the 2022 financial crisis, a lot of governments have fallen. So US, UK, Senegal, Brazil, Mexico, apart from India, most incumbents are falling, and a lot of people attribute it to the inflation of 2022, hard cost of. So basically, people are angry with government.
The global crunch.
Yes, and they are punishing government.
Incumbents.
So it's a global wave.
Yes.
You are aware of this.
That is why you have to give Dr. Bawumia so much credit, because we ourselves, I mean, there's not every detail I can give you, but we know where we stood in February, and I can tell you, he has been grinding the ground. He put boots on the ground, stepped all the 276 constituencies.
All 276.
Worked very hard, delivered, spread across stakeholder engagements, youth connect, community connects, going into the markets, visiting people in their homes. This has been the most elaborate election campaign I have seen. I've worked with the professor.
And that's coming from you.
That's right.
You're serious. This is the most elaborate.
Yes. And
by elaborate, you mean what?
I mean, it's been well articulated, prosecuted, according to plan.
Wow.
Day by day, extracting those that he has to come back to Accra for official business. Mind you, he's still the vice president. So
mixing all of that.
And if you look at the fact that he was elected November 4th, some clear, about 7-8 clear months after his main opponent, John Mahama.
So today's actually a year.
Yeah.
Today's 4 December, right? So a year since he was.
No, it's a year and a month.
A year and a month. Yeah, November. Yeah, a year and a month.
And I'm saying that John Mahama had a leeway of about 8 months. And Bawumia could organize his campaign so meticulously, have a first round visiting all the 16 regional capitals, and no presidential candidate has organized stakeholder meetings, which brought together the clergy, the Muslims, the Christians, the traditional religion, the chiefs, the Zongo chiefs and all that, artisans, teachers, nurses, tailors, miners, everywhere, farmers. And that he listened to them before he started his own program. And so he delivered his manifesto earlier and then adored his running mate. So it shows somebody who is prepared to govern. He's more serious, although he's in government. He didn't say he was going to sit on his incumbency. He recognizes what you have said, that incumbents had been punished across the world because of the crunch. And I think that's what has endeared him to the people. His just appetite for hard work. It's
been a quite grueling. I was surprised to hear 3 years ago he was back in Ashanti. I was like,
No, because there were some 2 constituencies that we missed.
Okay.
And then 3 in Volta because he's a vice president. There was an emergency.
So you had to make up for that.
It. Yes. So
you combined OT, Eastern and Ashanti in one.
Because we had the Koforidia area. The new job in North and South had not been touched. We had done all of that, and then a front plane. So he hopped there, did it all, and the vitality that he's shown, the energy, you know, it has recreated the enthusiasm of the party base. So that apathy that, you know, has disappeared. Everybody is so energized, and people are now focused, and they are determined to roll out there, come out and vote come Saturday.
He spent 32 days or so in Ashanti, if I'm not mistaken. So I think 3 weeks.
No, because people forget that Ashanti is no Kumasi. And there are 47 constituencies. I was with him throughout, you know, and we're doing 3 constituencies in a day. If you do 3, you need 16 regions. You need 16 days to be able to do 48. There were a few that we did 4 in one day, you know, and speaking engagements, you know. So he's really worked hard, and I believe that that hard work will pay.
Your opponent, I spoke to him, he says MPP usually does Ashanti engineering. When I showed him the Ashanti map, and then the fact that Bawumia spent a lot of time there, it's almost like you realize that across the country there isn't much support, and therefore you're putting a lot of energy in Ashanti. What's your response to that?
They got it wrong. I've heard them say, "Oh, why is he spending 15 days?" It was a constituency-based campaign.
Okay.
He wanted to treat the 276 constituencies equally.
Okay.
You could listen to what he was saying. He wants a broad-based campaign, and that's what he wanted to offer everyone time. It doesn't matter whether it's a whole central where we don't normally do too well, or a Bantama. You know, he treated Ghana as the same, and I think it is very good. Because
is that a good idea?
It's a good idea. He's had the time, the energy, the strength, the verve to be able to do that. And Ghanaians want a leader who has vitality, who has energy, who can energize the base and lead by example and show an appetite for hard work. It's very important. His public-spirited nature and his empathy for the underprivileged and the people with disabilities and the policies that he has outlined has touched various segments of society. So we are very confident.
Final point before we go to the map. As a communicator, some people think sometimes it's good to have one central theme.
Yes.
I noticed because he's talking about different things. So preserve FSHS, digitalization, and my integrity as a person. So there are different touch points.
That's right.
Sometimes you are not really sure what the key thrust, because as I said, because there's a global anti-incumbency feeling, opposition doesn't have too much work to do than to simply say the current person is the same as those who cause all the problems for you.
That's right.
But for you, how have you been able to craft the key message?
Research shows that people vote for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
So yes, sometimes it may be good on a core message.
Yeah.
But these are exceptional circumstances.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, he has a central theme about focusing on agriculture and looking at the value chain. So he talks about support for agriculture, creating these district agri-mechanization centers as common user facilities to support commercialization of farming and also more technological advanced farms. And then looking at the tree crops, like rubber, like cashew, like shea nut, like mango, like palm, you know, and treating it the way we treated cocoa. You understand? So those are messages that he took across, especially in the farming areas. Really went hard on that. So every sector of the society had something to bite on. And that's what makes his message so attractive. And people trust him. They believe that, one, he hasn't had the opportunity to be president. John Mahama has had his opportunity, didn't handle it, was kicked out in a historically big vote. And he hasn't had the opportunity. And I do believe that, yes, it's good politics for the NDC to heap everything on Dr. Bawumia. But John Mahama knows better than most the difference between being a vice president and a president. There's a sea of difference. You understand? And I believe that even if Nanado, the constitution has allowed him to have another term, there will be dramatic changes to what he has done over the last 2 years. Yes, he's built a strong foundation, but there are areas that Dr. Bawumia wants to change. Imposing order and discipline in financial management, value for money for government procurement, slashing the size of government. Let people know that he wants to lead by example. When he says we should tighten our belt, I was looking at 54 ministers. He says 50. I still disagree with him on that one, but he's the boss. You know, so he's going to be significantly different. You know, when he talks about restoring professionalism and meritocracy to the public services especially.
Yeah.
There are a lot of state entities, especially the technical ones, that will do with less political tinkering. You understand? People grow in the job, they have the institutional knowledge, and although the Constitution allows the president to appoint the top, sometimes we've gone down to second level, and sometimes even...
It's too much.
It's too much. And we all realize that it's not the best for our country. And those are things that...
So he wants to define himself.
Yes.
Even though he was Nanado's vice president,
number two,
he believes that he can carve a niche for himself.
That's right. That's why he talks about leading us in a new chapter. I spoke about a new dawn.
Yeah.
I think a new chapter is quite like a new dawn.
We'll take a break. When we come back, just do a quick walk around the country in terms of the changing electoral map of the country and how confident the MPP is about their chances. Stay with us.